Let's boost your English skills.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Boost English podcast. I'm Emma, your host for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're all doing well. In this episode, we're going to chat about a very interesting topic: how to eat without gaining weight. By listening to our conversation, you'll have the chance to improve your English skills in a fun way.
Hi, everybody. I'm James. Really happy to be here as a guest. I've been a fan of this podcast for a while, and now I get to join Emma in person. It's pretty exciting. Emma, thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. So first, before we jump into our topic, how are you doing, James? Anything new or fun going on in your life lately?
I'm doing great, thanks. I just got back from a short trip to the countryside. Spent some time fishing and hiking, so I'm feeling refreshed. How about you?
Me? I've been good. Busy, but in a nice way. I recently discovered a cool coffee shop in my neighborhood. It's become my new favorite spot to relax on weekends. Maybe you can join me there sometime.
That sounds great. I'm always on the lookout for a cozy coffee shop. And hey, maybe we can talk about healthy eating while enjoying some treats there. Though that might be a little ironic.
Possibly. But let's keep it balanced, right? Now let's get into today's main topic. How can we eat delicious food without putting on extra pounds? Everyone wants that secret.
Indeed. People are always asking, how do I keep my weight under control while still enjoying tasty meals? It's $1 million question, really.
So true. First off, small talk aside, how about we share a few tips we've tried ourselves? I'll start with one: portion control. I find that cutting back on portion sizes can do wonders. Even if I want a piece of cake, I'll take a smaller slice.
That makes sense. Portion control is definitely a major factor. If you love pizza, you don't have to eat the entire thing. Just have a couple of slices instead of 5. It's about enjoying your food, but in moderation.
Exactly. Another tip is to focus on quality, not just quantity. I prefer fresh, whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. They fill me up without making me feel guilty afterward.
Yes, that's a great point. I'm not a huge vegetable fan, but I've learned to prepare them in ways that actually taste good. I drizzle a bit of olive oil, sprinkle some herbs, and roast them. Suddenly, they're delicious.
Oh, roasted veggies are the best. How about snacks, James? Many people struggle with snacking too much.
Snacking is tricky, right? I try to keep healthier options around: nuts, yogurt, maybe some fruit. If I only have potato chips in the pantry, I'll definitely eat them. So I make sure to stock up on better choices.
That's smart. Out of sight, out of mind. If you don't buy junk food often, you won't be tempted. But let's be honest. Everyone craves a sugary treat now and then.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's fine to indulge sometimes. It's just not good to go overboard every day. Having a small treat each day is okay, but an entire carton of ice cream might be too much.
Indeed. It's also good to stay hydrated. Sometimes I think I'm hungry, but I'm actually just thirsty. So drinking enough water helps me avoid overeating.
True. Also, I notice that when I'm bored, I snack more. It helps to keep busy. If I'm at home, I might pick up a new hobby or do a quick workout rather than raid the fridge out of pure boredom.
That's a great strategy. Speaking of working out, do you think exercise is key to eating what we want without gaining weight?
It plays a huge role, but it doesn't mean we can eat everything in sight. Exercise does help burn off extra calories, though. A good workout routine combined with mindful eating is a winning combo.
Right. We can't just run for 5 minutes and then feast on a dozen donuts. That won't cut it. But consistent physical activity certainly helps maintain a healthy weight.
Definitely. Speaking of donuts, do you have a favorite sweet treat that you just can't resist?
Chocolate chip cookies are my weakness. Homemade ones with gooey centers are my downfall, but I try to keep it in moderation.
I hear you. Mine is cheesecake. I rarely bake it, but when I do, I have to share it with friends or I'll eat too much of it myself.
Sharing is caring, especially when it comes to calorie-heavy foods. That way, you get a taste without finishing the whole thing solo.
Exactly. Also, paying attention to hunger cues is important. Sometimes I eat because it's mealtime, but I'm not even that hungry. If I slow down and listen to my body, I often realize I can stop sooner.
That's a smart approach. Eating slowly, chewing properly, and pausing between bites can help us feel full with less food. We just need to give our brain enough time to register the fullness.
Right. And speaking of fullness, I try not to grocery shop on an empty stomach. It leads me to buy all kinds of junk. If I eat beforehand, I usually make better choices.
Absolutely. Shopping hungry is dangerous. Suddenly, everything looks tempting, even items I don't normally like. It's such a classic trap.
Yes, I totally agree. Another trick is mindful eating. If I pay full attention to my meal, taste, texture, and how I feel, it helps prevent overeating. If I'm watching TV while eating, I might consume way too much.
That's a good point. Multitasking during meals can be a problem. I also try to eat at a table, not on the couch, to remind myself that I'm having a proper meal, not just a snack.
Right. Environment matters. On the subject of environment, do you find cooking at home helps control weight?
Definitely, when I cook at home, I control the ingredients, the amount of oil, the type of sauces, everything. Eating out can be delicious, but restaurant portions are often huge.
For sure. And many dishes at restaurants have hidden calories from butter, cream, or extra sugar. Cooking at home lets us adjust recipes to suit our health goals.
Precisely. Though eating out occasionally is fine. I just try to look for grilled or steamed options, or ask for dressings on the side. Little changes can make a big difference.
Agreed. Also, I find meal prepping helps a lot. If I prepare meals in advance, I'm less likely to grab fast food during a busy week. It's convenient and healthier overall.
Yes, meal prepping is a game changer. Making a batch of chicken and veggies for the next few days saves time and prevents impulsive eating. It also helps keep track of portions.
For sure. And let's not forget about beverages. Sugary drinks can add a lot of calories. I used to drink regular soda all the time, but I switched to sparkling water and noticed a big difference.
Great point. Even fruit juices can be packed with sugar if we're not careful. It's better to eat whole fruits. We get the fiber that way, and it fills us up more.
Exactly. Another trick is adding more protein to meals. Protein helps us feel fuller, so I include chicken, fish, eggs, or beans in most of my dishes.
That's smart. I do the same with eggs in the morning. If I have a protein-rich breakfast, I'm less tempted by snacks before lunch. It really keeps me satisfied.
Right. And for carbs, I try to choose whole grains like brown rice or whole wheat bread. They keep me energized without causing a quick spike in blood sugar.
So true. Refined carbs can make me feel sluggish. With whole grains, I stay more balanced. Now, what about late night eating? Some people say it's worse to eat before bedtime.
I've heard that too, but I think it's more about the total calories and the type of food. If I'm really hungry late at night, I'll have a light snack, like a small yogurt or some fruit rather than a big meal.
Exactly. Going to bed starving isn't fun, but I avoid heavy meals right before sleep because it can affect my rest and digestion. A light snack is fine, though.
Good call. Sleep quality also affects weight management. If I don't sleep well, I tend to eat more the next day for an energy boost. It's a cycle we should be aware of.
Yes, sleep is often overlooked. So many people talk only about diet and exercise, but forget about rest. With good sleep, hormones stay balanced and cravings might be reduced.
That's right. It's the trifecta: diet, exercise, and sleep. When all three are in harmony, maintaining or losing weight becomes much easier.
Well said. Now, let's consider the social aspect. Sometimes we eat too much when we're out with friends. Any tips on that?
I admit it's easy to overeat at parties. I try to focus on conversation rather than the snack table. I'll grab a plate, put a moderate amount of food on it, and then step away from the buffet.
Great strategy. I also like to have a glass of water in hand. It keeps me from mindlessly snacking, and it looks like I'm participating without constantly munching.
Exactly. Also, if there's a potluck, I bring a healthy dish, so I know there's at least one lighter option available. That way, I'm not stuck with only heavy foods.
Clever move. All these tips are super helpful, but let's not forget, it's okay to enjoy our favorite treats sometimes. Balance is the key word, right?
Absolutely. If we get too strict, it can backfire. We might end up binging later. Enjoying treats in moderation helps us stay sane and happy.
Couldn't agree more. Now, let's transition to the final part of our podcast. We talked about a lot of tips and used several phrases that might be new to our listeners. Shall we explain some of them?
Yes, let's do that. Where should we start?
How about portion control? We use that phrase several times. It means managing how much food you eat at once. Instead of having giant servings, you control the size to maintain a healthier intake.
Exactly. Next, we mentioned out of sight, out of mind. That idiom suggests that if we don't see something, we won't think about it. In this context, if we don't see junk food, we're less likely to eat it.
Right. Another useful phrase was meal prepping. This means preparing multiple meals ahead of time, usually for a few days, to save time and make healthy eating more convenient.
We also use the term mindful eating. That means paying close attention to the taste, texture, and overall experience of eating, instead of just eating quickly or while distracted.
Correct. And indulge is a verb we used, meaning to allow oneself to enjoy something, often a treat, or a pleasure that's not necessarily healthy in large amounts.
We said moderation a lot. Moderation is the idea of avoiding extremes. You don't completely ban all junk food, but you don't eat it in huge quantities either.
Yes, we also mentioned whole grains, which are grains that haven't been heavily processed, like brown rice, oats, and whole wheat bread. They contain more nutrients and fiber.
Another phrase was refined carbs, which are carbohydrates that have been processed and stripped of many nutrients. Examples include white bread and regular pasta. They can cause quick spikes in blood sugar.
Right. We also talked about burn off calories, which means to use energy, often through exercise, so that the calories you consume don't become stored fat.
Exactly. And there was to go overboard, which means to do something too much or to an extreme degree. We used it when talking about not eating an entire cake at once.
Great explanation. Keep an eye on is another one. It means to watch something carefully. For example, you can keep an eye on your daily calorie intake.
Also, I mentioned raid the fridge, which is a casual way of saying you open the fridge and eat a lot of food, often impulsively, maybe when you're bored.
Yes, that's a fun phrase. Another one was cut down on, which means to reduce something. For instance, if you cut down on sugary drinks, you're drinking fewer sweet beverages.
Perfect. We also said work out, which is a phrasal verb meaning to exercise. For example, I'm going to work out at the gym today means I plan to do some physical training.
Right. And finally, we had filling up or fills me up. It means a food makes you feel full or satisfied, like soup fills me up quickly.
That's a good list. Anything else we should highlight?
Maybe go-to. We often say something is our go-to when it's our usual or favorite choice. For example, these roasted vegetables are my go-to side dish.
Exactly. That covers a lot of key words and phrases we mentioned today. I hope our listeners found this helpful.
Me too. And listeners, remember these words and expressions. Try using them in your own daily conversations or writing to get more comfortable with them.
Indeed, the more you practice, the better you'll get, and you'll sound more natural in English conversations.
Well, that's our episode on how to eat without gaining weight. Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this helpful, please give us a like and share with friends.
Yes, thanks a lot, everyone. I had a wonderful time discussing these tips and phrases. Hope to see you again in a future episode.
Great. Thank you, James, for being here today. Everyone, thanks for listening to the Boost English podcast. Keep practicing and see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Stay healthy and keep learning.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.